than the rest.
नमस्कार, न्यूज रूम से मैं हूं आपके साथ कमरुद्दीन खान। तो इंदौर में मैग्निफिसेंट एमपी की शुरुआत हो चुकी है। सीएम कमलनाथ सीआईआई के कार्यक्रम में पहुंच चुके हैं और वहां पर वो उद्योगपतियों का स्वागत कर रहे हैं। और देखिए आप, सीआईआई के कार्यक्रम में सीएम कमलनाथ पहुंच चुके हैं, उद्योगपतियों को संबोधित करेंगे।
Especially focused on market linkages and post-harvest management, and also work on real commodity-specific SAs like sorting and trading solutions using machine learning as well as artificial intelligence. Now, we are really working on this like this in certain states. So we have one of the companies like you said, ITC, who are owners of a large tracts of land, and we bring in a solution providers with artificial intelligence, and they are working with some of the tracts of land in certain states here. We're not yet, but we'll be happy to actually work that on agriculture. Great that you're giving us this focus on agriculture. We'll do that. On MCC, which is a model area sector, which is like employment exchanges, we'd like you to once, you have inaugurated the Jabalpur Center, which was done at your PS, but then you asked us to do it. We have our center, which is evolved over a period of time in Gurgaon, and last 18 months has produced 49,000 jobs from one model area sector. And we will do one in Bhopal, and we will do 3 more. So 5 centers in a model area sector, we will do a budget review.
See what in your model career center, you supplement that with more intensive counseling regarding the location. It is not just 2 days, 3 days. Make it 15 days, something like that. So that they are able to upgrade themselves.
And the other thing, as you said, Bhutan and Jeans, we have now set up certain centers. These are startup hubs that we have created. These are startup centers which we, and CII understands that you are these large companies who are actually acting as mentors. They are creating this incubation centers and also mentorship and incubation and also mentorship in some of the hubs that we are creating. We like to bring some of them into better positions.
See, what you want to do is pick up from the rural area. Say, don't spend your time to him. Pick up 100 youngsters and link them with your corporate. And say that this can be such a regulated industry. Farming, there is no harm. But because of a period of time, families have extracted 2 sons, 4 grandsons, land holdings gone, opportunity comes. Somebody who had 10 acres, now I have 2 acres. What will you do 2 acres? So you look for opportunities outside. But if you can accept, this is what you can do. This is what you can do in your 2 acres. You grow flowers. And I was surprised that today we were saying in the presentation who were there that we want to make an organization of floriculture. And I am making my own vision to produce the best orchids in the world. Orchids. You know what an orchid is very big, no? Nobody thought orchids is always think of orchids in Thailand. You don't have orchids, you don't produce in Chhattisgarh. Right? This has happened by fluke. This just happened by fluke. I mean, I did it, I went to a village and he came with a garland of orchids. He said, for 50 rupees a flower, he gave me our orchids. So I asked him, he can't say. He said, how much? He's going orchids in his village. So I said, कैसे करते हो? So I said, see it. And somebody from Nagpur had gone to Thailand, like orchids that he like Thailand, so he got some 50 people there, he wanted some free land, he wanted to say to have free land, and he got some the rock shop, and put up a greenhouse, started it. Now he started it. So I said, when you said, I said, what's better? They said, we went to Taj, we said, what, they go there, we export. 80% I export to Europe. They produce all this Europe. So here is ability with agro. Your success will be big thing, you see that they don't know, nobody will put something down and give it on the ground there. Nobody will get something new here. So, sorry, success will be a big thing. And this is all rules. You can't go for it. They can't be urban at all.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chief Minister. My name is Veer Advani and I run a company called Blue Star.
Louder, please,
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I run a company called Blue Star. We do air conditioning and refrigeration equipment and services. I have a comment and then a question. My comment is that this morning I was with our small team. We have a small sales team based here in Indore, about 30 individuals. More than half of them are millennials, so young team. And so I was talking to them about the state and the outlook. And I have a few things to share with you. One is that everyone is very optimistic about the outlook for your state. They're very optimistic about your government and the changes that you're bringing. And they also backed it up with data. Our business, which is relatively small here, this year will grow at 20%, as against the country average of about 10%. So, and the interesting thing is that all the growth in your state for our business is coming from outside Indore. So it is refrigeration and air conditioning that farmers are buying and a larger population is buying. So I'd like to congratulate you, first of all, for bringing about this change in a very short amount of time. Moving on to my question, I wanted to understand from you your plans for making the state into a logistics hub, and whether you see that as an opportunity given the location, and whether there's opportunity both in food as well as non-food logistics and transport. Thank you.
We are looking, especially in the Indore-Bhopal highway, to have a dry port. That's one of the things we are looking at. We are looking at a logistics center there. Now, logistics center, we've had some of the biggest players in logistics come and talk to us, whether it's FedEx or whatever it is. They have certain requirements. You must be so close to an airport. You must have this facility. We are looking at how we can make this area into a logistic hub, because the ideal place to make this into a logistic hub, Madhya Pradesh is a natural logistic hub. The question is, how do we plan this? And I think the next 3 months we'll be ready with a plan on logistics. This was an area which is new. This is an area which we are working at, and in the next 3 months we'll be there. So I'll be happy to engage with you on this. Well, Blue Star is a very old name, much before the others came in, and you know, I've seen and heard of Blue Star, including I think your father, who I knew. We'll be happy to provide you any support. You said you got a team here. How do you expand your business here? This is again a sector which is going to grow. How many people had refrigeration and air conditioning 10 years ago? Now, villages have some houses with air conditioners. So this is the great transformation taking place, and this is where you got to keep pace. This is where industry doesn't keep pace with changes which are taking place. That how dramatically things are changing, and looking at everything through urban lens is not the answer. The biggest disposable incomes are in rural India. A 6,000 rupees a month salary in a district in Madhya Pradesh per month provides him a disposable income, because his living is free, his food is free, he stays with his family. But if you tell him in the 6,000 rupees to go out from his district, even come to Bhopal, he can't survive. Forget about go to Bombay or go to... So, the disposable incomes are generated in rural India. And this disposable incomes are going to be the huge market for you. Not the income per capita. Don't look at that. I said that in the morning. Look at where what is generating disposable incomes. That is going to be the key thing. And that is going to be the growth centers of the country in future.
Thank you. Vinayak? Good afternoon, sir. Kamalnath ji, my personal compliments for the presentation this morning. I've sat in on many of them and I was very, very impressed this morning. So, and it's not that I haven't heard you before, but very, very strong compliments for that. I have a difficult question for you on state finances. On state finances, you know, while most of the discussion is about the central fiscal deficit and the problem of liquidity at the center and all that the center is not doing right, increasingly we are finding that across states in India, the state fiscal position is deteriorating fast. Whether it is a result of the new structure of fiscal federalism, where you are dependent very much on pro rata sharing of GST collections from the center, etc., whether it is the revenue buoyancy at the state fiscal is becoming a huge stress point at the state level, and what is worrying at the national level is 60% of all expenditure, government expenditure in India is the sigma of the states, whereas all our discussions are obsessed with the central finances. So the stress on state fiscal, which is not just in Madhya Pradesh, we are seeing huge liquidity stresses in industry from payments delays in Uttar Pradesh and many other states. It's not I mean, I'm not here to take names of states, but the malaise of liquidity stress, the malaise of your burdens to pay people or invest in infrastructure or do the kind of things you want to do is getting severely affected by the stress on the state's own fiscal situation, and a large part of it is to do with the restructuring of fiscal federalism, the relationship between center and states in terms of the revenue that comes to the state. How much stress is there in your mind on this subject?
Well, there is huge stress. Now when you talk of fiscal federalism, fine, it's a nice word, catchy word. What does it mean, fiscal federalism? If you see over the last 4 years, what is the devolution to states after the GST came in? They'll say, oh, we increased it by 3,000 crores. The center will say by 3,000 crores, now you got so many thousand crores, now we do by 3,500 crores. But what was increased by 3,000 crores was, on another hand, cut by 8,000 crores. That means the central government schemes, like say the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, say so many schemes which were 90-10, 90 funded by the center and 10% by the states, we all made 60-40. Now, for a state to avail of it, I must have that 40. Otherwise that 60 is of no use to me. So if you take the net position of transfer to states, the net position, you will find that it's gone down. Now states, no matter how well you try and fiscally manage your state, there are so many social programs. Now Madhya Pradesh, we have the largest forest area in the country. We have the largest tribal population in the country. The social schemes for the poor, let's take pension. We give a pension of 300 rupees. I just raised it to 600. 600, raising it to 600 meant about 800, 900 crores more. Now take, we had in Madhya Pradesh this excessive rainfall never in the history of Madhya Pradesh. That means it's a hit to us of 13,000 crores. How will we deal with this requirement of 13,000 crores, both in terms of crops and in terms of material loss by houses and other damage? Roads, you have excessive rainfalls, your road, your bridges are in trouble. So now you've got a hit of 13,000 crores. What do I do? And this all happened in the last 1 month. Will the center support me on this as a natural calamity fund? So maximum I can hope to get 1,000, 2,000 crores. I need 10,000 crores. At least 50-50 the center should have. The center has many more means of raising revenue than the state has. So this fiscal federalism, or whatever federalism you want to call it, is going through a lot of stress. Some of the states are better managed fiscally, some are not. Now, one state which is got huge expenditure because they are building, like say Andhra, they're building the capital. Somebody is doing this, that takes money. What do you do? So in Madhya Pradesh, we have the largest area. Now, as a huge area, how do we build the roads? I'll give you an example you'll understand. We had the Central Road Fund. We had the Central Road Fund for which a law was passed and a cess was put on diesel and petrol. You remember many, many years ago. Now from this year, in the Finance Act, they've done away with the Central Road Fund. Forget it. So the money we got on the Central Road Fund is gone. So where is this fiscal federalism or any kind of federalism in this? So there are these kind of issues which need to be addressed, challenges, but this will lead, forget about today, what is the consequence of all this 5 years later? If 5 years later the CII National Council would be sitting, what would you be discussing? I think you should have a session on that. That what would you be discussing 5 years hence? There'll be completely new things, and this is one of the big challenges again. That collapse of states fiscally. How do you do this? How do you manage your social program? How do you manage poverty? India, we have so many people at our poverty line status, but nobody in India is dying out of starvation. Why? Because of our social protection schemes. That's why. Otherwise, you'll have so many people dying. Today, what is our medical reach? What is our reach for in the healthcare sector? How many people have access to healthcare? How do we get them healthcare? And as I said, that what worries me, if you were to ask me the single one thing which worries you about the country, I'd say the youth. He's seeing on the internet, he's seeing all these things happen. And he's seeing all these fancy commercials, he's seeing this is happening because all the TV channels of every country, no matter how poor it is, only shows the brighter and the glitter. They don't show anything else. He's seeing the glitter. He says, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have this opportunity? So how will he respond? And this uneasiness will be a big challenge in the future. How will we deal with it? You can have so many, give out dole, unemployment dole. You can give them, but then these are all makeshift measures. So fiscal issues are a big challenge for the state. Every day I'm seeing, oh, this we cut here, this we can do there, this we do here. How do we make both our ends meet? This has to be a true dialogue between the center and the states. Has to be a true dialogue, and we need to get experts. We've got to look at this. What should be our deficit? Is it right? If it was left to me, I would have never accepted the FRBM conditions because every state is different. I would have never accepted it. So many countries don't follow it. It's not that they've sunk. That's old economics.
Chief Minister is here till 4:30. I want to ask.
No. I must leave in 5 minutes.
Okay, leave in 5 minutes. I've got 3 people with questions. Anyway, Unni, can you start? Very brief, quick question.
It's more of a suggestion, since you mentioned about the farm distress and you have a fairly large captive area for farming. The bio-waste can be utilized for generating power and ash by going for gasification, and we tried it out with soya waste. I come from a company by the name of Thermax. So just this is something, in my opinion, if you could have a policy it will increase income of the farmers substantially. It's tried out in Thailand, Philippines, many of the Southeast Asian countries. Some states in India had a policy, Punjab especially, on maybe rice husk, but you could have on any agro waste. A suggestion. We can come back to you later and then discuss.
Yeah, please send me a mail. But I want to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Why hasn't this been adopted up till now? I mean, is it lack of knowledge, lack of technology, lack of motivation? What is it, so that I know where to start?
Yeah. Technology was a shortcoming in that one. We have signed up a technology transfer from Netherlands, and with that we tried out with Ruji Soya for the soya waste. The farmers come to the mandi with the beans, and they open it out and sell the beans, and the waste, the mountains of that heap that crops up over there can be gasified, and you can create gas, and from the gas you can generate electricity, and the ash remaining over there can go back as a manure or a cleanup the way we used to be using it in the earlier past. So that's a combination of multiple things we done. Technology was a laxity which is available to the country right now. That's it.
Very quickly, Rajan.
Thank you. Thanks, Vikram. Rajan Navani from the Jetline Group, and through our group company Jet Synthesis, we are creating new age consumer internet-led businesses across India. And you mentioned something around technology and leveraging that to create new age employment. So one of the things we find, Honorable Chief Minister, is that a lot of the new age kind of jobs that are emerging are very different from what the traditional jobs have been, right? And I think there is an opportunity today, for your state, for example, to really look at that, very seriously, particularly in even in areas which might be very normal, right? So, for example, e-commerce or fintech and health tech led jobs which are creating more food delivery kind. Maybe they are low-end jobs, but tons of those. But more others like gaming and others which create creative industries becoming part of global supply chains around programming, etc. I think there's a huge opportunity here, and I'd love to understand from you how you could, you would look at that specific area. And through CII, as I chair the Future Businesses Council, we are looking at a large number of companies that are interested in seeing how that talent can be created in different states, given that you have a very strong young population. The second question is really again around technology and AI. You were mentioning about building about efficiencies in farming and others. I think again, large levels of digitization, can help, like through remote sensing and others, can help really create tremendous amount of efficiencies around farming. That's another specific area, creating an AI university, really jumping, a little forward, because I heard you in the morning talking of the magnificent MP and the tiger economy jumps which happened in Southeast Asia in the 80s. And I got the same feeling when you were speaking that there is a leapfrogging opportunity here for the states. So would love to understand better.
I think you made a good point. You see, technology, what you are talking, is one of the focus areas. We want to do this. And I don't have the time to engage with you on this, but do send me a mail, and I want to have a separate session with you on this, because this is again something which is a sunrise area. This is a sunrise area for Madhya Pradesh, and I'll be very happy for all your support and your ideas on this.
Thanks. Quickly, Ramesh, last one.
Thank you, sir, for interacting with us today. And I had the opportunity to take a large SME delegation with you to Germany when you were the Commerce Minister. I think that is the largest SME delegation of CI. About 100 members joined you that time. And this issue is related to, again, MSMEs. Today's situation, I think MSMEs are in a bad shape because of delayed payments. And government payments, and even though a lot of companies don't do business with government, because other companies do business with government, it trickles down to the bottom, and MSMEs got impacted. So what has your government done to address these issues? Because they are large employment generators. You're talking about employment. The second issue is on government decision making and file movement within the government. So there we see a lot of delays which impact the overall business opportunity for the industry. So like our company itself does a lot of business in agriculture in Madhya Pradesh, sir. We manufacture very high-end soil testing instruments. And we had a large business setting up 300 laboratories. And for a simple file, we are stuck up for 4 months. The file has not been cleared.
You're right, that may be so, but as I said in the morning, I've had 7.5 months, we're going to have reforms in governance. That is it. You know, one is we don't have the money. Supposing that be the case, we'll tell you. We don't have the money, please take it after 3 months. One is, we are sitting on it. And when you see, talk about the payments, the GST, you're talking about the GST payments. No. The regular payments, one is because of the process, where the process is such, which is defined, what was how many years ago. One is because of lack of funds. We are managing a cash flow just like companies manage a cash flow. If it's that, but we are simplifying the process. We are simplifying the process, and specifically, if you communicate to me specific cases, yesterday I had a meeting with some of the SMEs in Indore, and they had some very, very small problems. Again, problems of process, problems of file, problems of that. And here we need attitudinal change. Now, one is a change, what kind of change? And we need attitudinal change. And we are trying to bring this about. Don't know, I must finish.
Thank you. Can we give him a big round of applause for answering all the questions? Thank you, sir, for joining us in the middle of this very busy day. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. इतना ही लो, वहाँ तो नहीं जा।
तो 7 देशों ने